Thank you, Claire. That's quite a wide question, and if I may, I'll take it in two parts. The first, just to talk briefly about the buoyancy of the sales of books and the market more generally in the UK at the moment. And secondly, just about the categorisation of that market, how it is segmented and the type of books that those that you're writing might fall into. So first of all, the good news, the very good news is that books are selling. Books are selling extremely well. Books are relatively cheap in a time when people are watching their pennies, and they're pretty accessible. So no surprise that the sales of digital ebooks and of audio have risen considerably during lockdown, particularly, and we've seen the closure of so many physical bricks and mortar bookshops. So sales overall in 2020, both in fiction, and we're talking about the whole market here for adult and children's, up by 24% on 2019, and non-fiction up by a quarter, 25% on 2019. So incredibly strong figures. The estimate by Nielsen, who runs these figures, is that over 200 million individual copies will have been purchased across 2020 of books. But not only the physical numbers of copies that are sold has risen, but also the revenue, so the money that's made from those titles. That doesn't mean it hasn't been difficult. As I say, the bookshops being closed has been particularly troublesome for that aspect and part of the industry. And it's also been tough for authors. So although some authors are selling incredibly well, and you'll see them in the top sellers, for example, David Walliams takes 3 of the top slots for the top 10 titles published across 2020. You'll also see the likes of J.K. Rowling, Jeff Kinney, who wrote the Diary of a Wimpy Kid titles, and Julia Donaldson tend to be in the top selling titles across every single year, and this year no exception. But it has been tough for authors, and the Society of Authors have been handing out money to over 1,000 authors. I think they've already doled out 1.2 million this year alone, in 2020. And it's difficult. And I think for children's authors, what we tend to forget is that very few of them make all of their income from writing. Some of the stellar stars who have done exceptionally well, but most don't. And a lot who are even full-time authors will supplement their income by visiting schools and carrying out events. And that's revenue stream that has obviously dried up over this period. So much to be heartened about. But it's also a tough market. We know that getting a book published is difficult. There's a lot of books published in this country, but that means there's a lot of individual authors and books fighting for the attention of our readers. So how is the market broken down or segmented? It's broadly by age. Some of it, the categorization may seem is a bit artificial, but books, it is a business, and books are broken down in a way that the market can understand and are, as you look at Amazon or in a bookshop or even in a library, you'll see clearly how it is divided up. As I say, by age, so starting with at the younger end, the 0 to 2-year-olds, the board books, the baby books, the books possibly just with pictures, without any words or a few words. And then as you start moving up the scale, as children become more familiar with the physical nature of a book and what a book is being read to, and then learn bit by bit to be able to read themselves. 2 to 5-year-olds, we have our glorious picture books, which can be very physically attractive, the sort of thing you might want to curl up with your parent on a sofa and devour together. Beyond the picture book stage, which may be around 24, 36 pages, where illustration and image is equally important with the text that dovetails with it, maximum, say, 800 words across the whole book. Then we work into early readers and early chapter books for children sort of 5+ up to about the age of 8. And they might have still obviously illustrations, but few, and might be some black and white, and more text and more sophisticated storytelling in terms of the issues that are being debated. Children love series, so this is when we start seeing the likes of Doctor Who series or Astrosaurus series, or the Adam Blade books which are targeted at boys, Rainbow Fairy books, and the like. Beyond 8, we go into what we call middle grade, which is sort of 8+, 8 to 12-year-old. And again, this might be some of the readers within schools, but also, again, might be dealing with some more issues-based titles. And as we go up the age range, we'll be seeing more text and less illustration, less pictures, fewer pictures. Probably these kind of books, probably maximum about 30,000 words. Beyond the 12+, we suddenly escalate many, many more words into what we call teen or YA fiction. And then there's no issue that can't be debated, and just the language and the tone and the issues which might be very different from how it's dealt with an adult book, for example, and a responsibility that children's authors have to their market and the individuals who are reading their titles.